JVC. They invented the camcorder with the original video movie, and in 2005, they gave us this. Hey everybody, it's A-Spec here, and today, I'm taking a look at the GR D270U from JVC. And as you can see, this uses the miniDV format, and it can record 1.5 megapixel still pictures to an SD card. At the front of the camcorder, you have a video light, a video lens with a 25 times optical zoom, and electronic image stabilization, and two front-facing microphones. And there's also an infrared port for the remote control. On the right side of the camcorder, you have a mode switch, which you can change between manual, which is essentially what program mode would do, automatic, fully automatic, off, turns the camcorder off, self-explanatory, and playback, self-explanatory. There's a power/charge light on the side of the camcorder, and you also have a single mono speaker. And you also got a wrist strap on the side of the camcorder. On the back of the camcorder, you have a viewfinder. Pull it out when the switch is in auto or manual or play mode, or auto or manual mode, and the camcorder automatically starts up and is ready to record video. You have a battery pack. This camcorder uses a rechargeable lithium-ion battery pack, and there's also a DC inlet, so you can run the camcorder without the battery if you need it, if you don't need the battery. There's also the DVI link output for outputting your videos to a PC, but from my experience with miniDV taping, I have always kept my videos on the tape, because I find that tape is the best for archiving. Even though it might be a lot worse quality, it's kind of hard to organize arbitrary file names. And it would be a chore to go through and name all of the file names if you're shooting a lot of content. But for YouTube videos, of course, I use micro SD cards because the quality is just so much better. But for archiving like holiday footage, back in 2013, I used to start recording holiday footage on miniDV tapes. I used to record all of my adventures at the holidays and in summer on miniDV tapes. On the left-hand side of the camcorder, you have your playback controls, which also act as a menu button. There's a menu button, there's a forward, backward, rewind, fast-forward button, and stop and play pause button, which also acts as a backlight compensation control and a manual focus button. And there's a rewind to the blank section of the tape button, and then there's a night button. The night button dramatically slows the shutter speed, but it can increase image noise when you're recording at night. Open the LCD screen and the camcorder immediately starts up. It just takes a second to calibrate itself to get ready for use. There's a menu system which you can access with this button like I showed you earlier. I don't know if you can see that, but there's all sorts of options for program auto exposure now that we're in the manual mode, and you can manually adjust the shutter speed within a certain range. There's sports mode, there's snow mode, there's all the typical program auto exposure effects that you would find in any other camera. You also can change the exposure between auto and manual, but manual mode is kind of a misnomer because you can't individually adjust a shutter speed and aperture in manual mode. Even though it might say manual, it's not really manual. And of course you can choose white balance. There's various settings for that. And you can choose recording mode, sound mode, zoom, which I have set on 800 times, but I usually like to leave it set at 40 times so I don't digitally zoom too far and reduce the image quality. There's also a slow motion mode and the auto gain control mode, so you can switch between auto gain off, auto gain on, which will automatically increase essentially the film speed of the sensor to capture images in low light a little bit better, but will increase the image noise. Or you can choose an automatic slow shutter mode, which will dramatically slow the shutter speed, but in my experience, it made images appear way too bright, actually. So the manual menu also includes digital image stabilization. It is actually pretty effective for digital image stabilization, but it can't always cancel shake when you're walking. It's not nearly as effective as the digital image stabilization on this camera, which is a Yi 4K action camera. But this action camera has no zoom, so I don't know how effective that would be if it was compared to this camera, this JVC. But back on the topic of this camera, we also have a 5-second recording mode, which I haven't found much use for, but it's supposed to be able to take quick 5-second video snapshots, essentially. And then we have a telemacro mode, which automatically adjusts the focus of the lens when you're zoomed in, so you can capture sharp images when you're closer to the subject and zoomed in. There's also a widescreen mode, although it's not native widescreen like the Canon ZR series. But there's also a wind cut mode, which automatically reduces the low frequency tones in the microphone, reduces the low frequency tones that are recorded to reduce the effects of wind noise, but will cut quite a bit of bass out of the audio. Well, you also have all your other common options like beeping, remote, demo mode, stuff like that. And it could obviously adjust the clock. You can change the image size of the still images, and that's the end of the menu. You can see the LED video light is in action. It automatically kicked on because it detected low enough lighting conditions. You can turn the light off by pushing the button behind the screen. And we'll turn the light off. You can select between light off, light on, and fully automatic light. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm one hand holding this. It's actually pretty effective image stabilization, especially given I'm one hand holding it. It might look shaky, but keep in mind, this is 2005, and this is only electronic image stabilization. There's no sort of optical image stabilization like I have on my newer Canon Vixia. Or Vixia, whatever you call it. I think it's Vixia, but someone in the comments can figure that out. Is it Vixia or Vizia? I've always wanted to know. To open the tape compartment on the bottom of the camcorder, there's a little bit of a little slide. So you slide it, and the compartment pops open, and the tape will automatically eject. It's a pretty cool little feature. I was kind of surprised by it the first time I used a miniDV camcorder, but it was not this camcorder. I actually first used a 2001 model GR D90U, but ever since I started using a miniDV camcorder, one thing's been the same. I've always kept with JVC. I'm kind of a JVC guy that way. So you push the tape in, and it automatically retracts. And because we had the camcorder off, the camcorder automatically turns off, and you can close the cover. On the top of the camcorder, you have a zoom lever, and then a multifunction snapshot / slow motion button. So as far as video quality, I have to record this directly from the display, so it will not be an accurate representation of what you would get with the actual camera, but here goes.
You know that blue bucket hat that I wear all the time? This is a demonstration of the low light performance of the JVC GR D270U. throw it into night mode and see if I can get any sort of picture of this. Not much.
Yeah, you can see the night mode dramatically reduces the shutter speed, and the frame rate is really low. Yeah, the autofocus doesn't seem to work very well in low light.
Turn the light on. Whoa, the picture washes out. And it comes back. And the image stabilizer does not work in this mode, unfortunately. It's just a little bit shaky, whoa. And handling this. A little bit of shake through, but I'm at 12 times zoom, so that is to be expected. Zooming out. Hey, birdie, birdie.
So you can't see it from how I recorded it, but the colors are bright, they're vibrant, there's quite a bit of dynamic range, and the quality overall for low resolution video, standard definition, is quite good actually. If you're expecting high definition video, look elsewhere. There are high definition miniDV camcorders, but they are huge. Yeah, these shoulder mount ones that rest on your shoulder and then were made more for professionals, not for really for consumers. But this is pretty much as good as the consumer could get back in 2005. One thing I've noticed is because the battery's old, it doesn't want to hold a charge. So I literally just charged this a couple of days ago, and it's already showing that it's dead. So the battery doesn't hold a charge. I don't want to get a new one because a new battery because I can probably find an old Canon ZR series or something else, or a Sony Handycam or something that supports miniDV recording at Goodwill for less than a new battery would cost. And I don't usually name my video equipment, but I found a good name for a Canon ZR series camcorder. If I had a Canon ZR series camcorder, I would name it Zara. I collect cameras from thrift stores, so I have a lot of them. I have quite a few cameras. So I always reference my cameras by their color and their features. The white interchangeable lens camera, if I was talking about my grandma's Nikon 1J1, or I would say the black camcorder if I was talking about my current Canon Vixia HFR 500, or I would say the black camera if I were talking about my Canon PowerShot SX170IS, which you can see my review up here. But if I owned a Canon ZR series camcorder, I could reference it by its name. I could say, where is Zara? This concludes my review of the JVC GR D270U. If you have any questions about this device or any other products you'd like me to review, just leave them in the comments. And this is A-Spec signing out.